It is quite literally what's keeping you up at night. Insomnia. But why is it happening and how do you fix it?
Yeah. So today, we're gonna actually gonna do something. I know how to solve insomnia. It's a symptom I suffered with for a long time, and it was one of my earliest symptoms, whether it was after the birth of my baby or my early menopause. Sleep disturbance, trouble falling asleep, staying asleep were problems for me. So you can say that I am an expert in solving this problem. And today we're doing something out of the box. We haven't done a live workshop in a long time. So this is the first time in probably a year we've done a live workshop here, and get your pen and paper ready right now. Okay, seriously, run, don't walk. Get a pen and some paper because be prepared to learn a lot, get your minds blown, and take a lot of notes. There's also going to be downloads. There's going to be bonus things you're not going to want to miss. So you want to stay till the end because there's going to be bonuses all the way through. I promise you. Surprise after surprise. So here we go. We're going to go right into it.
Thanks everyone for joining us on Transform Table Talk Live. I'm your co-host Anna Manuel alongside Dr. Maggie Yu. And tonight we are talking about a really frustrating problem, insomnia, but it's
Yeah.
not just frustrating, it actually causes a lot of health issues.
Yeah. People don't realize that when you don't sleep, like sleep is really critical. When you don't sleep is to me in Eastern medicine, that's a time when we call Chinese medicine calls it liver time. And your liver has a big job in making hormones, breaking down hormones and toxins. That happens while you sleep. A lot of that's happening. But it's also for me, as a hormone expert, hormone making and breakdown time. So for me, when that's disrupted, there's a lot of downstream results that happen. So I can already tell you that people don't realize that cardiovascular disease, like heart attack, stroke, blood pressure problems, high or low, has a lot to do with what's going on with hormones that are being made, not being made, or not being broken down while you sleep. So cardiovascularly, it's a big issue, right? And mood. I'm curious right now, those of you guys that are watching right now, how many of you guys suffer from insomnia? Type in chat and tell me what kind of impact do you think not being able to sleep has had on your life? Like right now, just type it in. Because I know for me, when I can't sleep, whether it's trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, that can be the loneliest time in my mind. Like how I feel very isolated, like I'm the only person in the world that's happening to. My mind starts to race. A lot of the negative thought cycles and spins that happen is happening in the middle of the night with you alone. So I think that it is a major contributor to depression, anxiety, panic attacks, right? And then the level of fatigue that causes the following day causes brain fog, ADD, ADHD. Think about your kids with autism spectrum and adults with that, how much a whole, interrupted sleep and lack of quality of that contributes to their ability to be attentive, to learn during the day. And then I think about pain syndromes. Any of you suffering with pain? And how many of you are starting to realize that when you don't sleep, your pain is worse? You have more pain flares the next day. It is while you sleep that your body actually heals.
This is resonating with so many people because they are commenting, yeah, they have those negative thoughts at night. They have the lack of energy the next day and productivity, only getting 4 hours of sleep sometimes. It really is manifesting in pain for a lot of people. So this is a problem. And I know as we go through the program, we talk to a lot of people who insomnia, that's one of their primary things they want to fix.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, I want to point out something really big, and we're going to get into model. What is my model? I have a model that I built around how to get really good sleep. But before we jump into that model, I just want to say that having good sleep requires a symphony of coordination of hormones to be made, utilized, and broken down. It is a hormonal act of like incredible synchronization, collaboration, and creation that really happens that allows us to sleep every single night. So it is by no measure understating when I say that if someone says my sleep sucks, what they're telling me is their hormones suck.
Okay. And I know you're going to talk a lot more about hormones and the interplay with how this all relates back to proper sleep, both getting proper sleep and then in turn making proper hormones.
Yeah. And this is by no accident, we have a program for balancing hormones with my hormone masterclass. And I would tell you that time and time again, we've had my Hormone Masterclass as a program for what, 4 years now, maybe 3 years. And one of the quickest things that people say improves when they're in the hormone program is my sleep, my sleep, my sleep, my sleep. And so there has to be something there. It's like, what is it, something I can do that will permanently? And I like Catherine is in our, I know Catherine S right now. She's currently in our program. And I met her 3 years ago in my hormone masterclass. In fact, our first run of my hormone masterclass. And, what you see is that these are sustainable results. Not only can you just get sleep like that night, like I'm taking a sleep aid, but if you're actually going to fix the underlying issues that are related with hormones, you can actually permanently fix your sleep. Not only can you get results quick, but it can have permanent results also. So one of the quickest relief of that symptom, but also a permanent relief. Okay. FYI.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've got a long comment here about, used to be awake 2, 3, 4 a.m., unable to fall back asleep. But now after going through the program, finally know how to get proper sleep. And if insomnia does rear its ugly head, knows how to address it. And I know I'm interviewing an alumni tomorrow, which insomnia was one of her biggest issues, and her sleep has dramatically improved now fresh out of the program.
Yeah.
These are what results. You know how to address this. And I'm so excited today because I've got my pen and paper ready to go as well to take part in the workshop.
So what I'd like you guys to do is everybody get your pen and paper ready. I'm actually going to be doing a screen share. And I already see Salvatore's talking about how melatonin doesn't help, T nothing. We're going to talk hormones. And hormones isn't just the sex hormones that you're thinking about. He's mentioning melatonin. That's a hormone, everybody. Insulin, that's a hormone. So let's do an assessment, everybody. How do you know your sleep sucks? Okay. Where are we at right now? What I want you to do is take a piece of paper and I want you to draw a straight line with an arrow at the end. And at this end is, this is a self-assessment tool. On the left is 0. And on the right, we're working up to 10. So literally number this. And we're getting to 10. Okay. Yay. So just right now, take a visual right now and think about just in the last week, what's your average hours of deep sleep, right? Kara Price right here, currently in our program says, I went from 4 to 5 hours a night to 7 to 8 per night after the program. Thank you, Kara, for looking at that. But a lot of you guys don't even realize like how shitty is your sleep. This is a tool to measure how shitty your sleep is. Go ahead and write down your number in chat. I'm curious where your numbers are at, everybody. You type down in chat what number you're writing down, because I can tell you that when I was in early menopause around the age of 36, I was probably right there.
Yeah. And I'll start as we're waiting on some comments too. Yours was a 4. I'm at probably a 5.5. So we're neither of us doing very well.
Right. And then now I'm about here. And I'm finding that, I use the iWatch to look at the quality of my sleep. And some people use the Oura Ring. Around 7 is really like golden for me. Right.
What do you think about the Oura Ring? I was just looking into that. I mean, these trackers that help track our sleep and our overall health, is it worthwhile?
Yeah, I actually really do think it's worthwhile because I look at in men, for example, one of the biggest reasons why, and this is a hidden cause of insomnia in women as well. A lot of men sleep, but they don't get quality sleep because they have sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea, which means there's hundreds of times per night where their oxygen level literally dips below, let's say 80%, even sometimes lower. And what's happening is it's causing them to micro wake up over and over and over again. So it's interesting because on the hours, like this is a really simple scale to say, okay, number of hours, I think I'm sleeping like let's say last night, I woke up at 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep anymore, but I slept from 12 to 3. That's 4 hours. But at the same time, there's plenty of people that will put down on here 7 or 8 hours. And if they are having a device that's monitoring how much they actually sleep, you can, like my partner has sleep apnea. And when he's not wearing his mask, like before he was actually dealing with the sleep apnea, his watch would register hundreds of times micro shifting of awake. So he never got into REM sleep, which is the area of deep restful sleep where your body's actually restorative.
And that's what this user says. Deep sleep on my Fitbit is less than 30 minutes.
Right. This user is going to be right here. User. I don't have a name on you, so you're a user right here. So take an assessment right now, but that's one tool, right? But the other tool to assess what are you getting quality sleep is what is the level of energy you feel on the next day? And we are going to do the same scale. And this is, in a sense, 10 is the most energy. that you feel in the morning, every morning. And remember back then at some point, you would wake up in the morning and you'd be like, feeling great. And what is now, you can look at one tool is to say, what's the number of hours of quality of sleep I get at night? But the other one is going to be in those hours, I can tell what the quality is by the level of energy I have the next day. So type down here, what's the level of energy when you first wake up in the morning? What's your level of energy? I mean, and what would you say? I mean, let's take a look. Because when I woke up this morning, I would say I was a 7.
Wow, that's pretty good though. I mean, I was going to say I was like maybe a 4, honestly, when I first wake up.
Yeah. But it's not normal, just so you know, like 4, waking up at a level 4 of energy. When you start actually tracking, you're going to start to realize that 4 isn't normal for you. Doesn't even feel great. And so, a lot of people some people are like, oh, I slept really late last night and they don't feel a difference the next day, but they're not even aware of it. But when you start tracking what's the level of energy with which you wake up, there's going to be starting to be direct correlations that you're going to make to the number of hours you sleep. And then it might start making you question, what's the quality of those hours of sleep? Do I have sleep apnea? Do I have like hormonal dips? Do I have like frequent little waking up? Is something happening? Fight or flight? Am I having nightmares? Am I sleepwalking? Like what the heck is going on? It raises further questions when you can assess yourself. And terrible level, Christine says, level of energy is at level 3, right? Nathaniel says he gets a solid 1 to 2 hours a night, right? I mean, this is catastrophic. And we're going to talk about how this really starts to impact upon hormones and all these other things that are going to come in. So let's take a look at this, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to have you guys draw a triangle. And I'm going to call it the blissful sleep model. I actually created this last week. I love teaching and talking and thinking in models. So whenever, and I had I was in a group where a friend was talking about like, if she could only get a night of sleep, and we were talking about creating, I go, oh, I have a model for that. And it just came up for me. So on the bottom leg, what I want you guys to write down is grounding activities.
Okay. That's an interesting term, Dr. Maggie, that maybe people don't understand. What does that mean? What's a grounding activity?
Well, I mean, let's talk about that. Because for grounding activity, everybody, like people see thinking about like, oh, let's turn the lights down, like no devices after 9 p.m. We've heard all those things, right? And I'm not here to repeat those things. I want to have something new to bring to you guys. Which is something that we have in our program, which we use movement. Actually, believe it or not, there is grounding activities that is designed to increase what we call vagal tone, VAGAL, vagal tone. And what we find is when we sleep, like and on day-to-day activity, it's always a balance between what we call our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, maintenance, fight or flight, maintenance. And the vagus nerve is the longest nerve in your body. And that nerve is responsible for establishing what's called a vagal tone, which is one of the parasympathetic, calming maintenance tone of your body. And what we find is people, all of you guys that wrote, like if you are getting less than 6 hours of quality sleep at night, all of you guys have crappy vagal tone. And that means that if your vagal tone, your parasympathetic tone is low, that means your sympathetic tone is high. That's your fight or flight. So there activities that could like literally shift your vagal tone like that. Well, there activities?
Look how smart Christina is saying, oh, would melt be a good grounding activity?
Okay, thank you. That's a point right there. Thank you, Christine. And I don't even know if, okay, so this is exactly what I think this is a gift. And I'm going to let you guys know right now. So Melt Method is something that is a program that we use in all our programs. Whether it's my Homo Masterclass or Transform program, Melt is an integral part of that. However, for this training and for this month, Melt and I have collaborated and we've created a Melt sequence. Sue Hinsman, creative Melt, and I created a hormone balancing Melt sequence. Yeah, so I know. And Anne is going to actually share the link for you guys to get that program.
Here it is.
A bonus because you guys attended this. So there's a link right there in chat right now. If you click that link and you register, you will get 30 days of Melt on Demand. And I will show you guys what you guys will see when you get in and what to look for. So we're going to.
And I just want to say, your alumni are so smart because they're talking about melt to begin with as you're pulling that up. And then someone said, oh, yeah, melt rebalance. And that's a great one, too. But this one that you have designed with Sue Hitzman, this is
Yeah.
specifically for balancing hormones and on the path to blissful sleep.
Well, that's the thing is, I mean, so if you want grounding activity that's going to kick ass on sleep and balance your hormones, you're getting this program here by going to this link, signing up. You want to go to this hormone balancing collection with Dr. Maggie. This whole month, they're rolling out videos with this. The first one is a really awesome interview with Sue and myself talking about how movement is really important in hormone balancing. And right here on the map, pay attention. First map is called Boost Your Sleep. There we go. And notice map 2 is vitalize your vagal tone.
Ah, exactly what you were talking
This
about.
is a give, everybody. Okay. You guys go get this. This is a gift from Sue Hitzman and myself to you for attending this. Every single night, I want you to look at doing one of these videos from Melt the boost your sleep already. Number one, great video to do. Number two, you could do vitalize your vagal tone. There's also a sequence in here I love, and it's called the rebalance sequence. I do the rebalance sequence every night, just so you guys know. So no joke, when I'm talking about grounding activities, I'm very specific, and I have a gift. So click the link over there. And Kara says, Melt made a huge difference for me, sleep and pain improvement. Yeah, sleep is like almost like the fairy dust on the Melt method. I mean, we utilize that to help with mood, focus, brain fog, fatigue, lymphatic drainage, liver detoxification, hormone balancing, pain reduction. Like, so there's really no downside. And everybody who's watching this can get this hormone balance collection with me. And you also get to use Melt on Demand for 30 days. So go for it, get to it. This is a give.
Amazing gift. And I just have a question, because I know people are probably thinking about, okay, my life is so busy. I'm doing so many things. I'm adding in one more activity now, but you can really easily fit Melt into your life because it only takes about how long to go through some of these sequences?
You're gaining time. So here's the thing is, when I do Melt, like, yeah, I do a rebalance sequence. It'll take me 15, 20 minutes. And it is the most restorative, like relaxing, restorative, and self-loving thing that I do. It's like a self-devotional thing that I do, right? And I've fallen asleep on the roller before.
If that tells you if it's good for sleep.
Well, and the other thing is, if that turns you from 2 hours of sleep to 4 hours of sleep or 6 hours, you've just gained that time. You are no longer, that time is being squandered on suffering.
Right, because you won't be waking up feeling like I do at a level 4. You'll be waking up energized and ready to attack the day.
Right, absolutely. So I just want you guys to know that the grounding activity here, I am actually going to be very specific, is Melt method. And I have talked about the rebalance sequence. And then there's the hormone balancing sequence that you guys can get right now as a bonus. It's a give. Go grab it. And all month long, they're rolling out new videos for that sequence. I've contributed a ton of that. There's also, I've added a ton of, there's trainings around like how to know hormones, or even what symptoms are hormonal, or, what are things that you can do to actually balance your hormones. So there's a lot that is going to be in that Melt program for hormone balancing. You can just go get it right now. So grounding activities is, you want activities that increase specifically vagal tone. So there you go. Boom. And Melt method. There's no excuse for you not to try it. Go check out the link. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the gift. 30 days. That'll really get you set on the way.
Yeah. And then next, what we're going to talk about is, we are going hormones, hormones, hormones. So one of the legs of this triangle is hormones. And we've talked about the symphony of hormones that need to be like made, balanced, broken down, right? So number one, we've got progesterone. We got some of the sex hormones here. We got the progesterone, even testosterone. There's a role of testosterone in sleep, big time. There is adrenals. Yes, thank you. So like cortisol, adrenal cortisol, and has a role in sleep. Insulin, which is a blood sugar hormone. We also have thyroid hormones. Melatonin, someone mentioned, these are the brain hormones, melatonin.
And when you mentioned melatonin, I just want to ask you, because some people might be thinking, well, what if I just ignore the rest of this and I just try taking melatonin? Is that going to help put me to sleep?
Yeah. So it to me, like you have to understand when I say symphony of hormones, it's a symphony. So when you think about a symphony, there's a conductor, you, right? And then there's all these players involved, and they work together to create a beautiful piece of music, which is your sleep. So melatonin is like the trombone player. So that's why it's so interesting. Somebody will say, I took melatonin, it worked great. And somebody else says, I took a melatonin and it didn't help me at all. It kind of depends on what's broken in your symphony, right? So it's like saying, like, I keep putting in a new trombone player and I keep adding more trombone players, and I don't understand why that song won't play.
Oh, well, you had enough trombone players to begin with, maybe, but you really need all of the other instruments to make this all work out.
Exactly. And the interesting thing too is that these hormones are there's a lot of interplay between these hormones. Like if you're going back and look, we carry a melatonin, and I actually love melatonin. So, and melatonin, I think, is in a lot of ways a wonder supplement and a wonder hormone in a lot of ways, especially dealing with certain chronic diseases, people with severe insomnia. But let's just talk about melatonin has a big role in autoimmunity in terms of the fact that high dose melatonin has been shown to be really helpful in leaky gut. For people with a lot of acid reflux. It's a powerful antioxidant and anti-cancer, and it's really helpful for sleep. But for example, even in melatonin, if someone has an autoimmune issue, they take melatonin, they need way higher doses than someone who doesn't have an autoimmune issue. So again, it's not just like take the hormone and that's the solution. Even if you did take the hormone, number one, you want to take it at the right dose. Number two, you want to take an extended release form, which is what we carry. Like Rest Her is in our store. Under I don't know, Anne, do you want to share find that link? But Rest Her is in the store under our sleep essentials, and it is melatonin, but it's long acting melatonin. That's the other thing is melatonin has such a really short half-life. Some people will take it, might help them fall asleep, but then they wake up. So you really want long acting, and you want adequate dosing. If we're talking autoimmune issue, like people are really and they have insomnia, or they're trying to help leaky gut, melatonin dosing is somewhere around 10 to 20 milligrams, which is way higher than what a lot of people think they need, which is like 1.5 to up to 3 or up to 5 milligrams. So dosing really matters as well. If you want to check out our sleep essentials, which is on our website, there's a link to our sleep essentials that have some members of our team add to the comment section here right now.
Yeah.
So melatonin, right? But let's take a look at melatonin, and I'm going to tell you that these hormones also play with each other. So it's not just like the trombone player is playing by himself. The trombone player is involved with the bass player in a certain section of the song, and they're impacting on each other. So there's a lot of pieces of this. This is why for me, I don't play around with hormones. Like we have several programs around hormones. Our main Transform Fundamentals is about hormones and everything else. But if you're talking specifically about hormone balancing program, that's my hormone masterclass. We really talk about the interplay. So for example, like progesterone, testosterone are more in the sex hormones. Adrenals are adrenal hormones from the adrenals. Pancreas, insulin is from the pancreas. Thyroid is from the thyroid. Melatonin is from your brain. So as you guys can tell, there's actually a lot of different hormones at play. And what I'm going to tell you is that typically there's an imbalance of even the sex hormones. When you're talking about estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, there's several patterns of imbalance between the sex hormones, these three here, that will trigger insomnia. So, and I'm just going to throw this in. You need to find out what your hormone patterns are, everybody. Don't go blind with this, okay? But even like a pattern where there's too much estrogen compared to progesterone, we call that estrogen dominance, will cause signs of insomnia. Any hormone pattern with low progesterone, this is huge. If progesterone is low, no matter what your pattern is, you're going to have trouble sleeping. There's a huge link of progesterone with balancing blood sugar, and there's a huge link of progesterone with melatonin also. And progesterone is anti-anxiety and really helpful for sleep. So frequently what we find when we actually measure people's hormones and we teach them what these patterns are, they find out that, oh my gosh, like this is a hormone that's really missing. I need to make more. I have to take some. So there's going to be a lot of insight around it. And unfortunately, the way that we test hormones right now, first of all, your doctors won't test it. And if they test it, they're going to draw some blood and then they're going to tell you it's in the normal range. They don't understand any of these relationships we're talking about. I can't tell you, Anne, and I can tell you.
Okay.
How many people did you see in the program who had their hormones tested and were taking hormones? And what was the result of them taking hormones prescribed by a hormone expert?
Oh, their hormones were even more imbalanced oftentimes after
Right.
taking the hormones. They were never importantly retested after
Yeah.
starting on hormone
Yeah.
replacement medications. And therefore, everything was very out of whack and skewed. And they
Yeah.
were coming to you, luckily, finally, for some
Yeah.
help and reading through, okay, what are we really dealing with and how do we address this and fix this?
Yeah, I mean, this is really cool. I just want you guys to know, like, and Anna can drop a link to my hormone masterclass. I just want to let you guys know we just relaunched. We are relaunching a boat like this. I would say we have had my hormone masterclass for 3 years, but starting this month, we have launched the turbocharged version of my hormone masterclass, and it's a year long. It's a year long. So, and people get to not just learn, they get to test the right way, saliva hormone testing. They learn to understand what those patterns are, but they get to also, we have live intensive several times during the year with which people will work with me and interact with me one on these live intensives to actually understand exactly what's going on. And they get to retest and participate in other live intensive to see what's going on with their progress. So this is the turbocharged version of my hormone masterclass that we just launched in March, just so you guys know. So check out my hormone masterclass. But sex hormones, big thing. And I will say that if somebody's like, okay, is there a supplement that can be really helpful no matter what the sex hormone imbalance is? What would it be? I would say love her.
Okay.
Love her 2 a day.
Talk to us. Why is that so helpful?
Well, the cool thing about Love Her is it has ingredients in there to help every pattern. So if it's estrogen dominance, it helps lower the amount of estrogen. If it's low progesterone, it helps you make more progesterone. There's actually ingredients in there with Chase Tree Berry, Vitex, that actually helps you make more progesterone. If you have a testosterone issue, whether it's low, it helps you make more. And if it's really high, like in people with PCOS, it helps you get rid of it. So there isn't one hormone pattern I can think of that Love Her doesn't help, whether you're a man, a woman, or a child, or a teenager. So that to me is why I think that to me is like a good catch-all. If you're thinking about herbal medicine to help with that. And we are talking about herbal medicine because we talked about melatonin too. You can take melatonin, but the biggest problem out there with melatonin is that most of the melatonin out there contain gluten, doesn't even contain the amount of melatonin they tell you it contains. And on top of it is not long-acting melatonin, and you may not be taking enough of it. So in the store, melatonin is called Rest Her, and it's our long-acting melatonin. I take that on a very regular basis. Super helpful because my trombone player is missing, and there is reasons behind it. My trombone player is missing, so that it's related to some of my hormonal issues. Okay, so I'm just going to say that the other thing I'm going to focus on really quickly is we already did a training, many trainings around. Around adrenals.
Uh-huh.
And if you guys wanted to learn more about the stages of like what's adrenal fatigue, is it real? Type adrenal fatigue in chat because I did a whole training around that. But I am going to tell you that the adrenal glands are in your back. Okay, ovaries and testes are pelvis, but in your back, right on top of your kidneys, are two little glands, and they're called the adrenal glands. And the adrenal glands do a lot in part of this. We just talked about the grounding activities, and you want to increase the parasympathetic tone. Well, the adrenals causes a lot to increase sympathetic tone. So then that's part of this whole imbalance that we're talking about. So every single line here connects, everybody. Okay, everything connects with each other. So when someone has adrenal problems, people just think adrenal fatigue, that means low adrenals, low adrenals, low adrenals. We just went over a training with Deb, who was on our call on yesterday. I did a training around the stages of adrenal fatigue and reviewed Deb's hormones and answered a lot of questions around it. And one of the things that I tell people is that you can't tell based on symptoms whether you're stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3 adrenal fatigue. Okay. The word fatigue is common in all three. So all three people are tired, but the way they look on the graphs are very different. This is why you can't just draw one blood test and make a call. There's a pattern. There's a peak in the morning, goes down at night. What if it was a W pattern? What if it was peaking at night instead? Totally changes what stage the adrenal fatigue at and what the treatment is.
And yet, you know, all of this stuff, but so many people go through and go see their doctor and say, I'm so tired. I'm dealing with fatigue. I've got brain fog. I don't feel well. And their doctor never mentions to them, oh, we should look into adrenal fatigue. I mean,
I don't want to test it.
They don't
It's
know.
not available. And because regular doctors don't do salivary testing that's multiple times throughout a day to test people's hormones or their adrenals. Right. And so, yeah, and here's another user that says, I was lit for 24/7, couldn't feel tired. So that's the other thing is, can someone with adrenal fatigue be completely wired and don't have fatigue, but literally be just wired all the time? The answer is yes. So so this is where data is so different. Oh, Deb! I love you. Like we actually spent 2 weeks on Deb's results and her questions because she asked some really good questions. Because she was like, "How could I be stage 1 adrenal fatigue, which was arousal, when I am super tired?" And we went through using her question to teach. And we had 2 mastermind calls, and we actually reviewed like one-on-one her results and her questions 2 different weeks in a row to make sure everybody learned and everybody got it. But going back to the adrenals, one of the hormones that the adrenal makes is adrenaline. Adrenaline. So if you think about it, if someone's adrenals is in fight or flight and they have high sympathetic tone, they have high adrenaline, that's really going to impact on their sleep. They're not going to be sleeping. Their vagal tone. So sympathetic and vagal tone are like a scale back and forth. So if your sympathetic tone with high adrenaline or high cortisol is screaming bloody murder, then it's going to squash your vagal tone, which is why for me, the most important thing you could do is get that vagal tone up every single night so that it's already here and it's doing this to your sympathetic tone. We want to start the night with this winner chicken dinner and not have this guy already screaming bloody murder. We want the vagal tone, Mr. Vagal Tone, to be high, sky high. And grounding activity using the MELT method is the most powerful way one of the most powerful way to do it.
And people really are saying they got a lot of help. By week 2, sleep was improved in the program, beginning off wired and tired. And I know you have other supplements as well that can help. One thing I know you've mentioned to me in the past was ProCortex.
Yeah. So we're talking about adrenal cortisol, right? And so I think the adrenals are really misunderstood, everybody. I mean, how many of you guys have never had your adrenal tested? And now when I'm talking about the adrenals, it's like ringing a bell and you're like, I need to have my adrenals tested. Type in chat. Like, you guys need data around this. So
just to be clear, this is something that you do within both the primary Transform Fundamentals program and within my Hormone Masterclass. You will have your adrenals tested.
This is critical. No matter what chronic disease you have, what symptom you have that you're coming into the Transform program for, one of the backbone is this hormonal symphony that we're talking about here. And I'm just using sleep as one of the symptoms as an example of how these hormones interplay to impact upon your sleep, right? So therefore, what if this was pain? I mean, this could easily be a model with pain in the middle. This could be a model with IBS, irritable bowel in the middle, or brain fog in the middle, right? Could be anxiety that's in the middle. And I can tell you that we can draw a model around this and show you what the pillars are that's really causing those problems. But hormones is going to be on the pillar for every single symptom that you have. I promise you.
And yet you see people like this who said never had any hormones tested. I was always told, I see no reason to test.
Well, this person, Facebook user, tell me what symptoms you have. Go ahead, just diarrhea it all out. And just so everybody can actually see all the symptoms that none of your doctors realize were even hormonal. This is why the hormone checklist is like really big for us as well. And if you are interested, you could type hormone checklist in chat. And a member of our team will chat with you and get a resource to you for a hormone checklist. We have a hormone checklist. So there's a lot of symptoms that your doctors don't even realize are linked with your hormones. How many of your doctors have no idea that your insomnia was even linked to hormones? Or do they care? Nor do they care. And we're just talking about, here's something for sleep.
Or do they even know how to read your hormone results properly? Because
well, that's Nate right there, Nathaniel, right? I was told I'm normal. I've never seen a normal hormone person because I don't work with individuals who don't have symptoms of some sort. And if you have a symptom of some sort, no matter what that symptom is, hair loss, I don't care what that symptom is, I can tell you that one of the underlying causes is because your hormones are jacked up. They're not normal. I've not seen a normal result ever.
Ever. I haven't either as I've been with you watching.
I mean, how many hundreds of reviews have you seen me do in the program, man? I mean, and with the program.
Hundreds. And that's why it's such a great thing too, because when you are finally able to uncover hormonal imbalances and issues with our hormones that no other doctor ever has before, it's
Mhm.
wonderful because now we have something to work with, something we can fix, and you know exactly how to do it.
Yeah, and that's where like we're talking supplementation. So there's a big difference, guys, between what other people do and what I do. I'm probably a horrible supplement salesperson. I'm just going to tell you, because if someone was a great, I guess, supposedly a supplement salesperson who owns a supplement company like I do, they would just not tell you what causes the problem to tell you to fix it. They're just going to say, take this. This is the Band-Aid. And if it works, you're dependent on it. Keep taking it for life. Here's my subscription to this supplement, that supplement for life. But I can tell you that when we're talking about supplement here, I'm educating you about ProCortex, because what happens is ProCortex works for a lot of people for insomnia. Why? Because it actually, the adrenal cortisol at night is supposed to go down. And what happens with a lot of people, most people in insomnia, they're waking up in the middle of the night because their cortisol is going up. And so as a result, they have high cortisol in the middle of the night. And so ProCortex actually calms cortisol at night. And there's also a unique relationship. Cortisol and melatonin are always opposite. So if cortisol is high when it shouldn't be, then it's suppressing the melatonin, making it low when it shouldn't be. Ooh. So this is why so many of you can have low melatonin, right? So what happens then is if you actually have herbal medicine, or you have the data to know that the cortisol is spiking at night, you take ProCortex 2 before bed and you actually suppress the cortisol at night like it normally should be, then your melatonin starts to go up. The brakes are off it. Okay. So there's an inverse relationship between cortisol and melatonin. And that's another point I'm showing you of how these hormones are playing together.
And yeah, it's so helpful. It's helpful to have a starting point, at least for some people who haven't had the ability to have this tested. But I think you cannot emphasize enough that it's truly important to get the proper testing done so you know where you personally stand with all of these things and how to properly tweak everything to get your hormones in line to then in turn get this restful sleep.
Yeah. So this is a lot, everybody, and this is not even 0.1% of what we teach in my hormone masterclass or in our fundamentals program around hormones and sleep, but it is just a starting point. I hope you guys got a lot out of that hormone leg of this, but here is the big whopper. And that's why we just shared in chat a huge resource, because the three reasons why people don't sleep is, number one, their vagal tone sucks and they're not doing a grounding activity to get their vagal tone up. Number two, their hormones suck. And then number three, to me, actually just as important as hormones is going to be blood sugar balance. So did you guys know, and I already put a resource there because I created a literal advent calendar of surprises for you guys on how to balance your blood sugar at night.
It's so cool.
Just so you guys know, I created, who wants this? I created the blood sugar balance stack. Every one of these doors, a lot of these doors, when you click, it goes somewhere and there's gifts and bonuses associated with it. So that's a total give, just so you guys know. And that's our sugar stack that I just created it this week. I thought it was really fun. I thought it'd be great to provide a blood sugar advent calendar for you guys in March. and then, yeah, so totally. So let's talk about blood sugar. So did you guys know that the number one reason, if I can tell you right now, there's one reason why you're not sleeping is because you don't realize that you're going into hot. So people with chronic symptoms of any kind have a lot of blood sugar swings, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay. And people never think that that's the real problem. But I can tell you, and everybody who's in the program, how many people are in the program right now and have had their insomnia already solved? Type in chat, or have gone through one of our programs. Type in chat, right? And my question is, it's going to be, did you know that these episodes where all we care about is, are you a diabetic or not? And we actually did a training on busting the top 5 myths around blood sugar. So if you're interested in busting the 5 myths of blood sugar, put in chat the 5 myths and our team will get that resource to you. But I did a whole training around the top 5 myths around blood sugar, is that only high blood sugar and if you're a diabetic is the problem. No, what's causing insomnia at night is low blood sugar at night.
Boom.
Boom.
Boom in unison. But because, I mean, people are not realizing this. And of course, if you have hormonal problems, it's making you even more susceptible to blood sugar problems.
Well, this is the whole point. Just so you guys know, this progesterone Do you know that declining levels of progesterone during certain times of the month make you more susceptible to low blood sugar? Boom. Did you know that someone who's going through menopause, the first hormone that goes down is progesterone, which is why insomnia is the earliest and first and top symptom of menopause, even perimenopause. Oh, Irene's like, better sleep and finally managing my blood sugar. So this whole hormonal thing map on the left has a direct impact right on blood sugar on the right. So this is linked. This is why this is a triangle. Everything's connected, everybody. So there are hormonal patterns that's making you not only susceptible to high blood sugar, but really susceptible to low. So you're swinging up and down, and in right, boom, slap dab in the middle of the night is low blood sugar. And when you have low blood sugar, your body says, low blood sugar, this animal is dying. It sends signals to your adrenals to say, raise the adrenaline, raise the cortisol, get this animal up and awake, running, fight or flight.
Yeah.
That is what happens. Get that sympathetic tone up, sympathy to run. So then everything with hypoglycemia is raising your sympathetic tone, is causing elevated levels of cortisol, is causing elevated levels of adrenaline. You wake up and your mind is racing, or you could even be half asleep and your mind's in this anxiety, recurring Groundhog Day loop dream over and over again.
Nobody likes that. You want to end Groundhog Day right there and just sleep through the night, but that's not what happens. You're awake yet again.
It's low blood sugar. And so for me, like, that's why the sugar stack is something I really want you guys, make sure you click the link to download the sugar stack, because people are like, well, what can you do to actually prevent the hypoglycemia that's happening in the middle of the night? Well, obviously, what you eat is going to matter. And I can already tell you guys, I've been in the group and I've made Fat Bombs live for you guys in the group. And I have a freaking amazing fat bomb recipe. I want to know how many of the alumni here have used and eaten the fat bomb before bed, right?
Several of them have already commented that it's critical in their nightly routine and they have to eat a fat bomb before going to sleep. Here's Kara.
And who the hell doesn't want to eat a fat bomb? Oh, look at those arrows.
I like it, Kara.
Yeah.
So listen, you have the recipe for fat bombs. I know you are giving away a lot on this live, but if you want the fat bomb recipe, would you be willing to share that as well?
It is in the blood sugar stack.
There you go.
The advent calendar, one of the links goes to my favorite, yours truly, fat bomb recipe. Oh. And on top of that, like, fat bombs are the best, aren't they? And on top of it, like, are there supplementation that are super helpful? And I can tell you, like, absolutely. Like, so if you're looking at estrogen, progesterone, sex hormones is causing this. So wouldn't Love Her to help balance any hormone balance be helpful? Yes, it would be.
By the way, I just saw that Love Her actually is on sale right now.
Yeah. So, yep. And then with the adrenals, cortisol, we talked about the adrenals, the pro-cortex can lower cortisol. But did you know that by calming the cortisol down, also balances, helps with blood sugar balance? So actually pro-cortex 2 before bed is also helpful with blood sugar. But specifically, we actually have a blood sugar balancing, BS balancing. Blood sugar balancing collection. And we're going to put that link here. And I can tell you, just looking through that, I mean, let's just jump onto that. And Golden Balance.
Okay, Golden Balance. And that's what actually somebody even said, that that's part of their nightly routine. They have the Golden Balance every night with a fat bomb, maybe some pumpkin seeds. It really becomes a staple, and people can't live without this Golden Balance. If it's like out of stock for a day, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to get the Golden Balance. Because it does become so integral in your success with so many things, sleep among them.
Yeah. So if you actually look like under blood sugar essentials, if you look at the collection that is here, you don't need every one of these products. Okay. But they attack one of the things that we talk about. So for example, Balancer, amazing. Taking 2 Balancer in the morning, really helpful to balance your blood sugar throughout the day. I love naming supplements because it tells you exactly what it does. Relaxer is the one that a lot of people use. I mean, how many people have used Relaxer 1 scoop before bed at night?
I do it every night. I really notice a big difference with it too.
You know why? Because it's balancing your hormones.
Yeah.
So for certain specific hormone patterns, Relaxer is fantastic. but it's also brain neurotransmitter support. So we're talking melatonin. It helps you make melatonin. You're talking about GABA. Some of these calming brain neurotransmitters are needed to sleep. Relaxer helps you make them, right? So how can you not do that? Golden Balance is the other one. I mean, Hug in a Mug. Cindy was just live in the group. We had a video. She calls it the Hug in a Mug. Golden Balance is really cool. And people do like a scoop before bed. And what I tell people to do, here's a hack. Golden Balance, make it. And I've had plenty of videos where I make it, but use it with, when you make it, I use half of like coconut milk and half coconut cream. Why? More fat.
More fat.
More
Also
fat.
sounds delicious that way.
It's so freaking creamy. It's a hug in a mug, and it's so luxurious.
Yeah.
Right?
You feel like you're treating yourself. And it also, I think the ritual of having that also probably does something to help you feel like you're winding down as well.
Yeah. And when you actually look at the herbs in there, so there's a lot of, when you look at Ayurvedic herbs, there's a lot of energetics to certain herbs as well. So there's a lot of considerations when we go into building these products, what works together, what is the energetics of a product, what are the natural ingredients, where are these products sourced from? Do they work? Like with Golden Balance, it's why I call it balance is because it balances blood sugar. Why? Well, number one, it's got these synergistic lists of herbs to do that. But number two, it's got our Pro Collagen WB, which is protein in there, right? I know. It's got turmeric in there, which is a really powerful anti-inflammatory. So it is decreasing your sleep. It is decreasing your pain during your sleep. It's also waking up your liver to say, liver time, now start breaking down hormones and toxins. So like literally like all the concepts I'm talking about, I've put into products designed to address those very issues. So like Golden Balance, Hug in a Mug at night with a fat bomb. You can thank me later. That's all I'm going to say. Okay.
Because a lot of people aren't used to that. The concept even of, oh, I need to eat something right before bed. That's foreign to many people. In fact, it can sometimes fly in the face of advice that other doctors have given them. Like I was told by my doctors, don't eat anything before bed. You have reflux issues or this or that. Do not eat within a certain amount of hours before bed. But when in actuality, you need that snack before bed to balance your blood sugar.
100%. I mean, I'm going to ask the alumni here, how many have been told that they shouldn't eat before bed? How many have now started to eat like something that has high protein, high fat before bed, or have used a Golden Balance with any sort of alternative milk? And I like the coconut cream to add fat in there, but if you don't want to add the cream in there, I take our Pro MCT-C8 oil and I mix it right in there with my foamer. Another way to add fat in there. And some people even add more protein. They'll take our Pro Collagen WB. There's already collagen in it, and they'll add an extra half a scoop to it. Why not? For me, I make it super simple. Like if whatever protein I have at dinner, I just save a drumstick and eat it right before bed and drink it with my Golden Balance, and I make fat bombs like once a week. I got the fat bombs in the fridge and I just eat a fat bomb. And this is how you could get beautiful sleep every night. And the thing is, people think they're going to gain weight, and the opposite happens, because what happens when you balance your blood sugar throughout the night is you make stable hormones, and your liver also starts to burn down toxins and fat. So yeah, like Pollock says, made a big difference having a snack before bed, right?
Yeah. And basically everybody is just showing their love for both the golden milk and the fat bomb. So you'll definitely want to get your hands on the sugar stack to see the fat bomb recipe.
Yeah. So, I mean, I mentioned a bunch of supplementation that you can do. But really, I mean, I'm hoping that right now I'd love to, I don't know if I missed any questions, and we're running into almost an hour. So I wanted to leave some time for some questions. Were there any questions that I had missed? Was this helpful? Because for me, I think in terms of, I love to teach, right? And so I think of any problem that you have, I think there's a way to draw a model and a way to teach it, to make it simple, to show you all the connections that are there and all the solutions. And they have to make sense. Like when you understand the why, you're not just memorizing and saying, oh, I need to buy these 8 supplements and take it for life. That's the opposite of what I do. I want you to really understand, I got to deal with my hormone balance. I got to really think bigger about how I'm going to balance my blood sugar, and what are the grounding activities that I'm doing on a daily basis to increase my vagal tone. These are big concepts, but they're the fundamental problem behind why you're not sleeping.
If we missed your question, go ahead and type it in again right now so we can see it. And here's a question from Margaret. It's a rhetorical question. Why are you so awesome? Love your education. So easy to understand. It really is. And that's such a big part of it too, is you do provide so much education. I know you're a physician, but you also pride yourself on really
Yeah.
being a teacher. And tonight you have given us so much information that's really helpful, Dr. Maggie.
Well, this was inspired by my friend Christina, who told me she couldn't sleep, and I was like, I could fix that problem. And I quickly drew this, and as I drew this and I was reviewing it with a couple people, they said, Maggie, you should be teaching this as a workshop. And I said, oh, maybe I'll do it next week. So I think about for me, like I think what am I most passionate about? What's my mission in life? I think about the three things I love to do is I love to learn, I love to create, and then I love to teach.
Mm.
If I can do those three things every single day, like that's the loop that makes me the most happy.
Yeah.
And right. And none of that says memorize. None of that says memorize, right?
No.
So yeah. Jen says, I sleep the best I ever have. Being a Transform alumni, it's absolutely the blood sugar. I love that. So one of the big takeaways, a couple of things, I don't want you guys to have missed any of the bonuses here. So number one, if you have not checked out my hormone masterclass, go to myhormonemasterclass.com. I am a huge educator around informing and teaching people how important, and it is completely messed up out there. I don't see anybody out there really teaching people how to balance their hormones, read their hormones, test or retest their hormones, and what are natural solutions that fix their hormone balance. I really don't see that happening out there. So that's my hormone masterclass. And now it is a year-long program for my hormone masterclass with multiple intensives throughout the year. So I love that we're able to people don't just test, they can retest and engage in intensives with me. The other thing is, yeah, go ahead.
Let's remind everybody about the MELT method and your specific special program with MELT method. Amy's wondering the sequence.
Yeah. So did we drop the link with the ability for everybody to get this MELT hormone balancing program?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go, everybody. MELT is working with us to give you this program. It's a gift. So it's the MELT. That's the website over there. I'm going to maybe I'll share my screen really quickly just to show you guys the page that it is on. So right here is the page that you guys are going to see when you click that link. And there's an interview with me and Sue about hormones. And there is a registration for you to be able to get that program. Oh, they put in all these bonus videos. That's so cool. I'm like, cool. So when you go on the website, take a look at, this is brand new. It just launched this month. It's the MELT method hormone balancing sequence. That is a joint effort of Transform with MELT method. Go there. The first two maps, thank me later, Amy, whoever else it is. The first map is how to boost your sleep. And the second map is how to increase your vagal tone. Both things we talked about today. The third sequence I do every night typically is going to be, I always do rebalance every night. And so now what I do is I do rebalance every night, but then if I'm working on a specific sequence like that, I'll replace the rebalance with, let's say, the vagal tone map. I'll replace the vagal tone map with the boost your sleep map. And you can alternate whatever works with you better, And so I like variety. So I'll play the MELT on demand, listen to it, and do the sequence at night every night. And that has boosted my vagal tone big time. But that's probably the single most important thing and fastest thing that I've done that has helped me and thousands of other people get sleep immediately.
The grounding activities,
results, right?
The blissful sleep triangle that you have developed for us. So helpful. You've given us so much information. We've got grounding activities, hormones, blood sugar, all working together in, like you said, its own symphony within a symphony. And a lot of giveaways today, Dr. Maggie. So this was extremely helpful.
Well, and then don't forget the blood sugar balance stack here. This is an advent calendar of gifts for you guys as to surprises of steps that you can take to balance your blood sugar tonight to get better sleep tonight. So make sure you click the link to get the download. If Ann can share it again, the blood sugar balance stack is like an advent calendar. Behind many of these cubes are surprises that you don't want to miss, including my fat bomb recipe.
Yes, it's in there. I'm going to drop the link for you right now if you missed it earlier. there's your sugar stack. And you'll have links on some of those sugar cubes to some surprises, as Dr. Maggie mentioned. You've been very generous in giving and sharing so much information tonight and having these giveaways. I hope that everybody who tuned in and will continue to see this in the future is on their way to a better night's sleep.
I'd love to hear some of your results over the next couple weeks, couple months. And I'd love to see a ton of you guys in the Hormone Masterclass, the main program. This is a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed a workshop style of our lives. Kind of this is what I do every day, teaching in the program in Transform, multiple programs in Transform.
If you want to see more workshops from Dr. Maggie, let us know in the comments. And if you have any ideas for things that you'd like us to cover, let us know that too. We love getting feedback from you. And, you know, it's this interaction that helps feed Dr. Maggie's energy to want to continue to do these. So the more you comment and interact, the better off it'll be. And the more Dr. Maggie will want to do this. Awesome. Yeah, they're saying, yes, please.
I've stayed an hour, everybody, so I hope that was helpful. Nikki, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Love it, everybody. All right. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Thank you. And see you guys later.
Night.